Luka Doncic is averaging 39.5 points per game over his last 11 games. He scored 60 in Miami, made the opposing crowd chant his name for MVP, and matched a Michael Jordan record that had stood since 1986. This is the hottest scoring run in the NBA this season, and here is exactly how it happened. Before breaking down the run itself, the baseline matters. Doncic is 27 years old, plays for the Los Angeles Lakers, and carries a resume that already includes 6 All-Star selections, 5 All-NBA nods, and a Rookie of the Year award. He speaks 4 languages: Slovenian, Serbian, English, and Spanish, which somehow feels fitting for a player whose game seems to belong to a different era entirely. For the full 2025-26 season, he leads the NBA in scoring at 33.4 points per game, and that number would be the story on its own if it weren't for what the last 11 games looked like. Over that stretch, Doncic has averaged 39.5 points, 8.1 rebounds, 7.3 assists, and 2.5 steals per night, numbers that sit just outside triple-double territory, with 40 points attached. The question worth asking is how a player already putting up historic numbers found another level entirely, and the answer starts with a trade. Doncic landed in Los Angeles via one of the most talked about deals in recent NBA memory, arriving from Dallas in exchange for Anthony Davis. The adjustment period was real. His first season with the Lakers produced solid numbers by any normal standard, but the team scraped through the play-in tournament and fell to the Timberwolves in the first round, a result that felt more like a prologue than a conclusion. That changed when Doncic signed a 2-year, $103.58 million extension with the organization in August 2025, including a $57.77 million player option for 2028-29, which sent a clear message about where both sides expected this to go. This season, the chemistry finally clicked, and March became the proof. Coach J.J. Redick pointed to something less tangible than any contract number when asked what shifted. He's just in a really good place, and he typically performs at his best when he's clear-headed. The run opened in Houston on March 16th with 36 points in a 100-92 road win, which, within the context of what followed, registers as one of the quieter nights of the entire stretch. 2 days later, still on the road in Houston, Doncic poured in 40 points in a 124-116 win, and the pattern was already taking shape. None of that prepared anyone for March 19th in Miami. 60 points. At Kaseya Center, against the Heat, on the second night of a back-to-back, Doncic shot 18 of 30 from the floor, 9 of 17 from 3, and 15 of 19 at the line, finishing with 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and 5 steals across 38 minutes of playing time. The Lakers walked out with a 134-126 victory and their 8th straight win, and the Miami crowd, in their own building, spent the final moments chanting MVP for the opposing team's star. Doncic acknowledged it afterward with the calm of someone who expected nothing less. It was pretty impressive, especially an away game in Miami. You hear the whole crowd chanting MVP. That's what I think every player wants to hear. Redick called it a superhero performance, adding, "He made big shots. He made tough shots. When he gets it going like that, you just let him go." After the game came numbers worth sitting with. Doncic had scored 40 points the night before in Houston, which meant 100 combined points over 2 consecutive nights, on 30 of 55 shooting from the field and 16 of 34 from three-point range. The rest of the stretch held its own: 33 in Orlando, 32 in a close loss to Detroit, 43 against Indiana on March 25th, 41 against Brooklyn on March 28th. 11 straight games with at least 30 points, 435 total points across the stretch, along with 89 rebounds and 80 assists, making Doncic only the second player after James Harden to reach those combined figures over an 11-game window. Road games tend to flatten great performances, and that is exactly what makes the 6-game road stretch within this run so worth examining separately. Over those 6 consecutive away games, Doncic averaged 40.7 points per night, becoming the first player to average at least 40 points over 6 straight road games since Michael Jordan did it in 1986, a record that had survived 4 decades of scorers trying to break it. ESPN's Dave McMenamin, citing research producer Matt Williams, put it directly: Luka Doncic is the first player to average 40 points over a 6-game span, all on the road, since Michael Jordan in 1986. And here is where the Jordan comparison gets genuinely interesting, because 1986 Jordan had not yet won his first MVP or his first championship when he put that stretch together. Most people know how that story ended. The Lakers' franchise records accumulated alongside the historical ones. Doncic's 11th consecutive 30-point game placed him in company that includes Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Jerry West, and Elgin Baylor, the only players in franchise history to reach that mark. His 60-point night in Miami stood as the highest scoring performance by any Laker since Bryant's final career game on April 13, 2016, and his three-pointer total during this stretch set a new single-season franchise record. The night Doncic dropped 60 in Miami, LeBron James finished with 19 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 assists, a triple-double for a 41-year-old on a night he tied the NBA record for games played in a career, and somehow that still wound up as a footnote. Doncic and James became the first pair of teammates to combine a 60-point game with a triple-double in the same contest since Wilt Chamberlain scored 66 and Elgin Baylor posted a triple-double in 1969. The Lakers went 9-1 across these 11 games, and one of the less discussed reasons for the surge is what Doncic has done on the defensive end. His 2.5 steals per game during this stretch reflects a level of defensive investment that not every version of Luka has shown. NBA.com's Sean Powell pointed to it directly when assessing the run, noting that both the team's defense and Doncic's individual defense had improved since the season began, and that growth showed. Despite the 435 points, the 6-game Jordan record, the 60-point masterpiece, and the back-to-back Player of the Week awards, he won it 4 times this season, averaging 42.3 points, 6.8 rebounds, and 6.3 assists across one of those 4-game Player of the Week spans. Doncic currently sits 4th on the official KIA MVP ladder, behind Victor Wembanyama, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Nikola Jokic. His MVP odds at DraftKings sit at plus 900, SGA sits at minus 700. Powell made Luka's case plainly on NBA.com. The league's leading scorer is nearly averaging a triple-double and is ripping through a torrid march with games of 60 points, 50 points, and 3 with 40 points. The counter-arguments came in just as directly. Michael Wilbon closed the door on Doncic entirely. "Don't talk to me about a guy who plays half the court." Isiah Thomas left him out of his top 2, landing on Wembanyama and Jaylen Brown instead. Redick, when pressed on why Doncic was not receiving more public MVP support despite the numbers, answered with a single sarcastic sentence: "Because he complains to the refs." Doncic himself offered no campaign, no pushback, and no opinion on his own positioning in the race. "It's you guys, the media, that votes," he told reporters. "I ain't got nothing to do with it." 41 points against Brooklyn on March 28th continued the streak, but the night also produced Doncic's 16th technical foul of the season, and the 16th triggers an automatic 1-game suspension under NBA rules. He sat out the next game against Washington. Left hamstring soreness has also kept him listed as questionable heading into recent contests. And with the playoffs closing in, both of those details carry weight. None of it erases what the last 11 games produced, and the Lakers still went 9-1 through the heart of it. Luka Doncic is averaging 39.5 points per game across 11 consecutive games. The stretch produced 435 points, 89 rebounds, and 80 assists, a 60-point performance that set the all-time record for points scored against the Miami Heat, a Michael Jordan road scoring record that dated back to 1986, and a place alongside Kobe Bryant, Jerry West, Shaquille O'Neal, and Elgin Baylor in Lakers franchise history. He is 27 years old. The MVP vote will go wherever it goes, the injuries will sort themselves out, and the debate about his defense or his complaints to referees will keep finding its way onto television. But what March 2026 produced is not up for debate. Doncic put together one of the most extraordinary individual scoring stretches the modern NBA has seen, and he did most of it on the road, against good teams, with the league watching. Drop a comment below on whether Luka deserves the MVP, and subscribe if you want more breakdowns like this one.